Now, a recent journal article published in the Journal of Applied Psychology found that when women take 1 year or longer of maternity leave, it can harm their career progress because of bias from their colleagues and from their employers. The researchers found that one of the causes of this was that women were perceived as being less career-orientated, less assertive and less committed to their jobs.
However, it found that women who stayed connected to their work during their longer maternity leave fared a lot better when they returned to work, but it should be up to the women to overcome the biases operating against them in the workplace while they're on maternity leave. To help us grapple with these issues, we're talking with Prue Gilbert, founder and CEO of Grace Papers. Tell us some about your research in this area and what women can do to ease their transition back into the workforce coming back from maternity leave.
Yeah, the research conducted by RMIT revealed that women continue to face, an ambition bias when they are attempting to return to work from parental leave, albeit that the research is plentiful in that women do not lose their ambition just because they become a mother. And in this research, which was the first of its kind, it did find that when they keep in touch with their employers, they're better able to address those perceptions that they've lost their ambition. One of the challenges we see is that we're continuing to put the onus back on women themselves, new mothers, with the full responsibility for a small baby to manage their careers through that process. And what we'd like to see is workplaces start to share that responsibility and address the systemic biases that continue to reinforce the biases that women are expected to challenge themselves.
Because it is a big ask if you've got a newborn baby, especially for that first 6 months or a year. I mean, it's pretty full on. So to then also be expected to keep in touch with your workplace, how do people even begin to imagine doing that?
Well, that's exactly right. And some of the work that we do with our clients is supporting women before they go on parental leave to have those conversations, and supporting managers too, who haven't necessarily understood all the different challenges that a woman faces from a career perspective in navigating those particular biases. So there are a whole lot of things that we can do. One thing absolutely is ensuring that women themselves are empowered. And when we talk about empowered, it means, giving them the tools and the education to make informed choices about career, care, and their own economic security. But it's also about addressing some of those systemic biases. A lot of organisations, purely by virtue of the fact that technology systems automatically default to assuming that you have left the organisation if you haven't accessed your email for more than 3 months, is a really simple example. But also, many organisations, particularly in this environment, have a lot of change with their managers. So ensuring that there are systems in place to make sure that women who are on parental leave aren't invisible. Sponsorship programs are really successful in putting the accountabilities back onto people leaders to reach out and take responsibility for them, for their employees. We've also seen organisations start to organise keeping in touch days, whereby they organise, as Melbourne Water did earlier this year, days when women can come back in, reconnect with their workplace, get an update from the CEO, talk to their managers, and they provided on-site childcare and support from experts who are able to support them to think about their career and their transitions back.
You talk about reaching out and staying in touch while you are on maternity leave. What did your research suggest about how much more successful women were who've done that when they do return to the workplace?
Well, the research suggested that it really overcame the biases that exist, and in relation to the ambition myth. Now, there's plenty of research. Bain, in particular, conducted a significant research study last year that really shut down the assumptions that women lose their ambition when they become parents. Women tend to leave their workplaces because of culture, because of workplace cultures that are unable to accommodate the workplace flexibility, and organisations that continue to expect them to spend all of their discretionary time towards their workplace.
Some men would take off extended periods of leave as well, paternity leave, maybe be the primary carer for a while. Is this something that they would face as well, or is this a female-specific problem?
The research looked at people who take parental leave, the unpaid parental leave for 12 months or more. In Australia, we have less than 5% of men who take primary carers leave for an extended period of time. So the research, to my knowledge, didn't look at the impact on them, albeit we do know that, from the Human Rights Commission's research, that 1 in 4 men continue to experience some form of discrimination for taking parental leave, and that men's requests for workplace flexibility are more likely to be rejected than those of women. So we're continuing to see the gendered stereotypes reinforced in our workplaces, and that's the opportunity that we have to address, is to ensure that policies, systems, people leaders and, obviously those who are taking parental leave themselves are all equipped and understand the potential gendered stereotypes that exist, and can actually take steps to address them collectively.
Prue Gilbert, really appreciate you coming in. Thanks so much this morning.
Thanks for having me.